Hello and welcome to the first episode of Sleep Talkin with Doze, where we talk all things sleep. For the first episode, we'll be covering everything co-sleeping, starting with the benefits of sleeping with a partner,
Sleeping after a breakup,
sleeping after you've lost a loved one.
and how to tell your partner you don't want to share a bed with them.
But first of all, how did we all sleep?
Not the best. Not the best. 4 hours. It's doom scrolling. Like, that's what it is at the end of the day. TikTok, social media, just in bed. And I don't know. I just couldn't sleep in the end after.
Not good. What about you? Any better?
If he's the devil, I'm the angel, mate. I slept like a log last night. Yeah, I've been cracking on with a good book. So, in a bed at 10 and, up at 8.
Wow, Henry's got the sleep hygiene tip top. I honestly didn't sleep that well either. I think probably a bit of stress, probably knowing I had to be up quite early for this. And also, I stupidly left my curtain open. So at 5 a.m, the light was just in and I was awake after that, which was not a good thing. But we're here and we're ready.
And we are joined by the brilliant Henry Hurt.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who's been looking into all things sort of co-sleeping, sleeping with a partner, sleeping with dogs, anything. So we're going to be sort of picking your brains for what we can find out more about.
Well, it's obviously lovely to be here. High quality studio, high quality co-presenters.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
So what can I say? Yeah, no, excited to get on with it.
Nice.
Yeah. So we've obviously got the scientific benefits of sleeping next to a partner. So a better REM sleep cycle, lowered blood pressure, the release of oxytocin, the love hormone, and these are all things that sort of reduce stress levels, reduce anxiety, and then lead you to fall into sleep better. But I think also we need to look into this emotional stability of it. There's obviously scientific reasons, but I think there'll be other sort of psychological reasons behind it and why you then have a better sleep afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's all part of the same system, really, when you talk about psychological and this scientific side of it. When you talk about this brain chemistry and altering your brain chemistry and the hormones that are involved, it actually comes as a result of the psychology. Obviously, everyone kind of knows that if you want to be sleeping effectively, it comes as a result of using as little brain as humanly possible. That's why a lot of people enjoy reading, for example, or white noise, because it allows you to focus on such a simple thing that only small parts of your brain are being used. But in the same way that often when you're with a partner, you're so relaxed, you're not using certain parts of your brain, and you just sort of go into a mini autopilot mode.
That's the worst thing. I think anything that's actively stimulating your brain.
Yeah, and I think the sort of having a partner next to you either they've got a bedtime or you've got a bedtime, you've got things to do, you're winding down of your day, and then someone yawns and you're like, right, okay, it's time to go to bed. And then you sort of fall asleep and you drift off. And I think it also is just quite nice to have that person next to you. It's almost a distraction as well. If you have something stressful going on, you can either talk through it and then you make yourself feel better, or you're not thinking about that because that person's there. Also security, everyone wants to feel safe and secure. We've talked a little bit on our magazine about sleeping with a teddy, and we've all got our teddies here, and it's just the feeling of comfort. And if I'm in bed, even if it's a certain blanket, even if it's your sheets and your covers, I get into bed and I associate that with sleep.
Your brain sort of begins to associate one thing with the other. So for example, as you were saying, if you have a conversation before bed with your partner every night, you're always going to associate that with going to sleep. I think as well, when it comes to having a partner around, it can be a bit of an accountability thing, or else doom scrolling sessions would not be plausible in my setup. I know that. I think if my girlfriend was talking to me and she saw me pick up my phone, it would get launched straight out the window, irrespective of where we are.
Yeah.
So it's always nice with that as well. Yeah, just getting you off your phone.
It doesn't always have to be a romantic partner. When we were younger, it's sort of sleepovers with your friends, or if anything bad happened, if you had a nightmare, the first thing you do is run to your mum's room.
Yeah, I can tell you numerous stories of even just going to my grandparents' house as a child, and it was me, all my cousins, and it was the most uncomfortable sleeping arrangement. We'd all just be on the floor in the living room. But I'd sleep so well because it was just I just had all of them around me. It was just nice.
We always know the hardest time to sleep is if you're stressed, if you're upset, if something's going on. If that is going on in your life, I feel it's obviously harder if you're an adult, but get a friend round, get someone round, or like Henry's done, bring your pet in your bed or something like that.
Yeah, 100%. That was me always growing up. So a little context for the viewers. My mum has a doggy daycare and also a dog rescue as well. So we had like always in the house, we had so many dogs growing up, and we always had so many of our own. Most recently, whenever I go home and visit, I have like at least 2 or 3 dogs on the bed. I've got 2 Dachshunds and a Breton, slightly larger Breton, who has definitely come to blows with my girlfriend a few times if she's also been there. We'll get onto that at some point, I'm sure. And I think, yeah, just growing up, it's something there, someone to talk to. Like growing up, I always had one dog, George, a little Cocker Spaniel. He always slept on my bed every night without fail.
Your brain always makes a connection with this person and sleep. How do you then, after a breakup, if you've gone from multiple nights a week or even every day if you're in a long-term marriage, how do you then go to sleeping without this partner next to you?
When I split up with my first girlfriend, you know how these things go when it's first love, especially for a lot of like teenage lads, they really take that thing quite seriously. And I felt like it was very difficult, and obviously, especially at night time, not so much that we stayed over at each other's places a lot, but we did on occasion, obviously, but just focusing on actually getting to sleep is kind of in itself, it's causing the issue, isn't it? You can't focus on sleeping. That's just not how it works. But I'm trying to put myself in that mindset again, but it's difficult. It's kind of its own illogical thing where you want them to be there irrespective of what went on. But what I'm trying to get at basically is that you just have to, as you were saying, build up something entirely new. I think for me, first breakup round, I like to go on a walk in the evening because I know a lot of the time that it just kind of resets you. It gets you out the way, and especially if you've been trying to fall asleep for quite a while, a lot of people say you have to walk away from that space and come at it with a fresh mindset. But yeah, you just got to replace that feeling with something else that you enjoy. That is the key to it, isn't it?
Yeah, you've got to change it, especially if that person's been in your room, been in your bed, maybe even move where your bed is. So you're looking at a different perspective of your room. Change your sheets and your covers. So if you had purple, you've now got blue. Just make those small little changes that make this a new space and you're getting used to something new. I think that's like really important. I know someone that any night they can't sleep, and this was mainly after a breakup, they couldn't sleep. They couldn't really move their bed around. They slept the opposite side of their bed.
Yeah.
So where their feet usually would be, they swapped around, and they were like, this really helps me because it just felt like something new. And I think that's sort of just making those changes. But this is sort of removing someone from your life. It's probably a little harder with our next topic of sleeping after you've lost a loved one.
I think with going through a breakup, I think as hard as it can be, I think there's that clarity that you have. Maybe that person wasn't good for you, or maybe it actually is for the best. But you don't have that when you lose a loved one. You don't get that. They say you never actually really get over it. Like for example, my grandma, when my granddad passed away, and they'd been together for over 50 years, and then to just go from all of a sudden having him to then going to bed that first night, I can't imagine how it is. That first night going to bed, and that person just isn't there. That just baffles me.
That is must be the strangest feeling. Also,
Yeah.
Sometimes if people have lost family members and you live in the same house, people often say it's really hard to go into that person's room. Even just going into that room is really difficult, and it takes some people weeks and months to go into their room because they just don't want to imagine them not there.
I think there's always something really uniquely personal about someone's room. I think it's really interesting when you visit a friend, for example, and you get to see their room at home and what they were like as a little bit younger. And it just goes to show. I think a lot of people these days are quite quick to hide themselves in what they're interested in public, but your room you can't hide that in your room. Do you know what I mean? So I can see why if you would lose a loved one, you'd leave a room. I think it's a nice expression of them.
The biggest compliment I think people get is, when you walk in someone's room and you're like, this is so you. If you're with a partner, you build that together, and it's a representation of you two as a pair. And if you've been together for so long, if you're married, you are obviously individuals, but you come as a pair, and that's what you've built your whole life. So sort of, you don't really want to change that room, do you? You don't want to let go and get rid of that.
I've seen a lot of people who have their own separate rooms, whether it's because they work at different shifts. For example, I saw somebody who's a shift worker as a nurse, but ended up basically just doing 3 12-hour night shifts a night. And obviously that would be quite disruptive to a regular office worker.
I think as sort of a society, we've normalised when you get a partner, when you get married, you then share a bed with them.
Can it not just be they want their own space? Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be personal. It's not a personal thing, but
If you can be quite an independent person, I think. For example, like if you spend like the full day with your partner, you do whatever during the day, it's quite normal for your like social battery to run out, and you just want some space to sort of decompress. Is something I often say to my partner. But I think that's completely normal. But I understand that you'd be missing out on what is a very like intimate time, and how immediately just cutting that out of your schedule can come across as quite stubborn.
what's the first thing typically that when a couple's had an argument, what's the first thing that they usually go to? We're not sharing it. I'm not sleeping with you. Like,
You're in the doghouse.
Yeah,
you're
you're in the
downstairs. You're
doghouse.
on the sofa.
Henry's in the doghouse all the time. So.
At any given point, I
Yeah.
might be in the doghouse.
Henry's
I think
on
it's
the
a flip a coin.
sofa.
Yeah.
It's not her fault. I'm big enough to admit that.
Yeah. No, it is the first thing people go to. So
Also, on the flip of that, it is I can't go to bed on an argument. That is always like, I can't go to bed on an argument. We need to sort this today, because I think you can't sleep and you also just don't enjoy it if you're on an argument. So
Yeah.
I think some people are like, get out, I can't see you, please don't be in my space, sleep on the sofa. Or some people are like, we must resolve this. Right, on to our next segment, where we get you involved. We've obviously talked heavily and we've had like quite a, hard topics to talk about. We're sort of bringing it back a little bit more light-hearted, and we're going to read through your stories. So we asked you, any bad night's sleep, any weird dreams, anything that's been going on that's funny to do with sleep, and we want to hear about it. So we've got a couple that we're going to read through now. So the first one, we're going to keep them all anonymous. Hey Doze, about 2 months into my relationship, I'm staying over at my boyfriend's house after a cheerleading competition. We'd both been out for some drinks to celebrate and then gone straight to his house afterwards. I got ready for bed, left my hand wash only cheer kit full of my makeup bag, expensive cheer clothes and my kit folded nicely next to my bed. In the middle of the night, I'm awoken by the sound of water. I turn around and see my very new boyfriend weeing in my cheer bag, all over my kit, makeup and shoes.
Just marking his territory.
I scream, "What the hell are you doing?" He seems to be sleep weeing. I redirect him to the bathroom while he's now weeing all over the floor and me. He woke up and he didn't remember a single thing.
Right, that is completely
What?
unacceptable. No, I want to say cat, but I don't think it is cat. I think it might be
is.
real. I've seen people do this
Yeah.
before.
I'm saying the cut part is he didn't remember it. But
Oh yeah, no, he definitely remembered it. Absolutely no
I
doubt in
don't
my
know,
mind.
because if people are sleepwalking, you don't remember you're sleepwalking,
no,
and that just
that's
could be
scary.
what you're doing.
That is scary. I hope I never do that.
I think
How drunk are you getting, man? How drunk do you have to be to wee in somebody's wash bag? That's the question.
That is a bit mad.
that is, but also like if you're sleepwalking
No
and you have
judgment.
no clue what you're
No judgment, to be
doing,
fair.
like it could just happen. This happened with like my boyfriend as well. He was sleepwalking. He like sat bolt upright, nothing behind his eyes, like absolutely nothing. I was like, "Are you okay? Like, what are you doing?" Stood up and went to open my wardrobe door, and I like shouted at him, like, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm going to the toilet," and I was like, "You're in my wardrobe. You're in my wardrobe."
That exact thing
And I
happened
like
to
was
me.
just, I know you shouldn't shout at someone when they're sleepwalking, but there was no way I was allowing that to happen. And he sort of snapped back into it and was like, "What am I doing? Like, why am I stood here?" And I was like, "I think you were about to just wee in my wardrobe." And like, thank God I stopped him. But
What is it with people?
and he had no clue what he was doing.
and
He
doing
hadn't
this?
even, yeah.
But I don't. You know what? I'm beginning to think it's not such a case of they want to wee in any exclusive location. They are literally just like it's potluck. Do you know what I mean? They just
Yeah.
find a spot, pick your poison type situation. Because a similar thing happened to me when a few of my mates went down to a trip to Cornwall. We spring for a decent little Airbnb type thing. First night out, the guy we've got a bunk bed. The guy I'm sharing the bunk bed with, he gets up and he starts weeing up against the wardrobe. I sort of wake up, look
What
at
is
him.
wrong with
I'm just
people?
like, hey, it's kind of animalistic, isn't it? You know, like all
It's
like,
just
all
the
male
most
animals
similar
need
thing.
to
Are
cock
they,
their leg.
are they
Yeah.
sleeping like one
They're
of?
Yeah,
genuinely
he is asleep. Like he's
yeah.
dead to the
No,
world.
this is mad.
I think it's like
It's
more
become my
normal than people think it is. But
yeah.
Is it only
you
boys
can't.
who
But
do
that's
this
not
as
a
well?
sackable offence,
Like,
though.
is it only boys who do
This is what I'm saying. Would you get rid of someone if they did that?
No, I don't think I
He
could, but
has
I would
to go
hold it
blood.
against
He
them.
has to go blood.
I'd say if he's going to pull the, it
I
depends.
don't
If this
know.
is a string of incidents that's happening because he's drunk, that is unacceptable.
If it's a
But
continuous thing and you're getting into that state and you're not doing anything to stop it.
It's time to go.
it's time to
It's
go.
time to go. No, I don't
No,
know.
I think that's just. I think it's got to be a pattern. If it's a one-off, then like he's just got to look after his drinking habits a little bit more because
And they
like
must
it
be
or not,
so
some people
embarrassed
don't
as
like it.
well. Like you don't want to like make someone feel awful and so embarrassed about
No,
that.
I know.
He probably isn't that embarrassed. He definitely stuck it in the lads group chat and he thought it was dead funny.
Maybe. But I think that is. What happens if that's the first night you meet someone?
Oh no,
Is
that's
that,
different.
Are
though.
you ever going to see
completely
this
different.
person
Time to go.
again?
Yeah, it's like if you're in a relationship for a year, there's a 0% chance you're going to break up with somebody over that.
But
if you
would-
did, that would be dead silly.
Yeah.
But if
No,
it's
that's
the first
silly.
night or first week, then you've got nothing. You've not really
Would you
lost
get
a lot.
over that though?
Yeah,
Because you think this is the best person ever. This is their only flaw.
That's
It could
quite
be
a big.
plausible.
It's quite a big flaw.
I don't know. I think there's worse flaws.
There is worse flaws.
There is
Would
worse-
you rather,
But,
would
like-
you rather your partner weed on your floor every once in a while, or just stuck it on everyone on a night out? Do you know what I mean?
Cheated
No,
on you,
yeah, well,
did horrible things.
well, obviously not. But I'm saying if
Ding,
this
ding, ding.
if this is the first night with someone, and they're doing that, no.
Yeah, it's not a great healthy
It's
spot
not
to
a
build a
great look.
relationship, is it? That's
Yeah.
for
I'm
sure.
waking them up and sending them packing like in that moment.
In that
in
moment.
that
Yeah.
moment.
Are you paying for the Uber?
Yeah, I'll pay for the Uber.
That's classy, at least.
Yeah.
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 He's giving them something. I think that's like it's acceptable. If they're definitely like sleepwalking, they're not doing this on purpose. I think I could get over it.
I think you'd get a sort of 7 out of 10 bollocking, and that would be that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it also depends. Like, luckily my boyfriend didn't wheel on anything, but if it had been my favourite clothes,
You just
that
could-
would have been
yeah.
a bad day to be him. A very bad day to be him.
Yeah.
Which I think this girl's boyfriend, it
Bad day
must
to
have
be
been
a
a bad.
wardrobe.
Yeah.
Bad day to be a wash bag, sorry.
It is a bad day.
You'd feel bad though. Like, say, obviously I joked
What happens
about.
if this happened to
No,
you?
I was saying, like,
Rahul?
obviously I joked about sending them an Uber, but I feel like that would make them feel really bad about themselves as well.
Oh,
so.
it's a shame that accidents have consequences, isn't it?
These are accidents.
Also, yeah, it's like how much of that do they actually control? Like you said, they
Nothing.
didn't even know they did it.
It's only the
Yeah.
only thing they've done wrong is they've got too drunk. Like that's
Yeah.
just a couldn't drive it.
Is it when they're drunk though? Is it?
I think most of the examples I've heard of is after drink. Some
Yeah.
may just be if you sleepwalk. That.
Oh no, if it's after,
Yeah.
That's
if it's
completely
if it's when you're drunk, then no, they got. If it's like if it's
Oh yeah, yeah. I think I
completely
might
when they're
have
just
misunderstood the
sleeping
story
and
then.
maybe
Or-
yeah, I don't know.
If it's if it's a natural incursion, no drink, no arm, like can't really
These things
help it.
happen.
Yeah,
These things happen.
maybe gonna have to have 2 different rooms.
Maybe that's the
Minimize the
reason.
weeing.
That could be if you don't like sharing a bed with a partner. That is an easy way out.
Frame him.
That
Oh,
tell
you
them they've
weed in
done
the
that.
corner again.
Yeah,
Oh.
easy way out. Right, the next one, a little bit related to what we were talking about earlier. When I broke up with my ex, I genuinely couldn't get to sleep unless someone else was in the bed next to me. And I kept going back to him multiple times just to share a bed with him so I could sleep until my mum had had enough of it and slept in my bed every night until I could finally sleep alone again.
That's a W mumsy.
That is a good thing on
That's a W
on the
mumsy
mum.
right there.
Yeah.
I think that is unfortunate, but I think you've also got to ask yourself: is it a question that you can't sleep without somebody in the bed, or is it that you just miss him? In which case, you
No,
You've
I
kinda
think
gone-
this person was like, I hated him at this point. I genuinely just couldn't. Tried nights and nights that there would be no sleep, and then obviously once her mum joined her in the bed, she was able to sleep again as well. So
Yeah.
that is the sort of quick fix. And
That's
Did you
heavy.
say they were going to the person's house still
yeah,
after they broken up?
because they genuinely couldn't sleep. So they tried a good couple days, couldn't sleep. Would go to this person's house, could sleep again. And then it was fixed when their mum came, so it must have been the.
I'm not being funny, but going back to their house, I don't know about that. I
I
don't want to be too.
You got to think though, if you're really tired,
If you are-
I
self-preservation
get it,
goes
yeah.
to
but
the
if
window,
you've broken
mate.
up with them, can you not just like find a friend or something?
I think this was the issue. Like, if you can't find a friend, eventually her mum came and shared a bed with her for like a good week or couple weeks. And I think that sorted her out. She then didn't go back to her ex ever again.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a friend that you can ask, can you come
I
and
get
stay
you just
around?
want like any.
yeah.
But I think but going to the person who that's happened with though. I don't know if would that help or would that just like
It probably
because it goes back to that. It
Mate,
goes
it
back to that
entrench the
point
issue,
of like sleeping next to someone after like an argument or something. Can you sleep next to them after something like that? I don't know.
I think it's just a quick fix, isn't it? You don't like them, it's really hard to sleep without them. You just sort of, I want sleep. Like, it's been this many days. Like, I need to go and sleep.
Yeah.
Also, obviously, the better fix is her mum came and slept next to her.
Yeah,
Maybe that should have happened from the start, but you might be embarrassed to say that. You might not know. You just might not want to tell anyone about that. Do you know what I mean?
It can be a difficult sell as well. I've been propositioning my housemates for a boys' sleepover for years now, and they've not really taken me up yet.
If one of your friends broke up with their girlfriend and they said, "I can't sleep, can you come and sleep in my bed?" Do you how easily would you?
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
But do you not think they might be a little bit
Emotional, mate.
like
Might be a bit disruptive.
apprehensive?
You look emotional, mate.
Do you think they'd be apprehensive to ask you though?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely would.
100%,
definitely
100%. But maybe
You still got it. You just got to look out for your boys, though. We need to change
maybe
the
they wouldn't
culture.
have to ask me.
Maybe you just know.
Maybe I just know. Yeah.
Yeah.
What if the mate was a female?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about. It's not a gender thing. It's just if they're a friend. They're a friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd help someone out.
Yeah.
Right. Well, whilst we're on a little bit of healthy debate,
Mm-hmm.
we're on to our last topic and our last sort of theme of the podcast,
I'll
which
savor
is our game. It is right, wrong. It's not right, but it's okay. So I'm going to read you a couple sentences, a couple, statements, and you're going to tell me if the statement is right, wrong, it's not right, but it's okay.
Yeah.
The first one, nice and easy, sleeping in socks.
That's wrong.
Straight up.
That's just wrong. It's bad foot hygiene as well.
You gotta let the dogs breathe, bro.
Yeah, 100%, man. Gotta let the dogs breathe.
You gotta let the dogs out.
Also, the first thing you're gonna do is when you get too hot, everyone knows you're gonna stick your leg out and you're gonna try and acclimate yourself properly to the room.
Mm-hmm.
Can't do that with a sock on.
What happens if you're cold? What happens if it's at winter? You want some fluffy socks on?
But no, I don't
Get a
think.
blanket.
I think if you're
Dial
cold,
in.
I don't think.
Try
I don't
harder.
think you go to put socks on. I think you just put like more layers on.
Yeah, I get the extremities are the first thing to go, but it has to be pretty really cold for me as well to make it bothersome.
Only time I sleep with socks on is like when I'm ill, and you get like the Vicks vapor rub.
Oh,
So I
yeah,
put
yeah,
some on
yeah.
and then I have to wear socks. But that's an exception. So I'd say it's like I wouldn't.
I've been always a Vicks on the
So
back kind
you're
of
a-
guy.
I
Not
would say
relevant.
it's
I'm on the
wrong.
chest.
I'd say it's wrong.
I would say
Wrong,
it's
completely
wrong,
wrong.
but I don't think it's right. So I think
So you're going for the third option, which
It's
is
not right, but it's okay.
it's not right, but it's okay.
Okay. I think probably wrong. I think
2-1,
if you
mate,
do,
2-1.
if you're
Okay.
doing it,
Fair
I'm
enough.
not gonna hate on you, but I just
Oh, I
don't
am.
see any need to be doing that, to be honest.
You're not escaping my gaze.
Right. The next statement. Waking up mad at someone after a dream. So something they've done in the dream to you.
I think it depends on your reaction.
I think that's wrong. I it's a dream. Like it's not. How is that person? I think it's wrong.
I think people have got agency though, so you can be upset, but control yourself. You know what I mean? If you're
Yeah.
throwing up the other person's plans into jeopardy, or genuinely having a go at them, that's obviously completely unacceptable. But if you're in a bit of a huff, you're in a bit of a buff. Everyone, people get in moods for no reasons all the
This is true.
time. So I'm gonna say, what's the last wrong?
Not
But
right.
it's okay.
It's not right, but it's okay.
It's not right, but it is okay. I accept it.
I have to agree with
I'm
you.
gonna lose
There's-
again. I'm saying it's wrong.
There's so many times that I've woken up
Woke.
and I've been
woken
through
nonsense.
it.
Utter woke nonsense. No, I just think okay, fair enough. You can hold something in yourself, but I don't think you should project that onto the other person.
No, I don't think you
I
should
think-
project it, but sometimes you are genuinely mad and you can't snap out of it. If you're in a dream, a deep dream, you feel like you've experienced
it's
that.
very
you
all-encompassing.
genuinely
I guess-
feel like you've
I
experienced
guess.
that.
You got to control your I 100% agree with you in that it is not fair, but in the same way that I dropped my breakfast the other day and just went all over the floor and that completely ruined my day and how I interacted with everybody else. That's not fair either, but it's just that is the game we play. Do
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
If I wake up in a bad dream, especially if you live with that person, you got to see them first thing in the morning. You're like, you just killed my dog.
You don't have time
just
to acclimate.
Cheated. You just did this, something, or you said something really horrible to me. You left me in a completely different country.
Yeah.
How are you not meant to feel some sort of way? Like, don't get me wrong, I wouldn't be horrible, but it might be like, I'm going to need to avoid you for a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I will be in a bad mood.
No, I can't. But I can't just get a grip. Like,
It's going to be a
honestly.
hard sell for you, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Wrong.
I'm going to go, it's not right, but it's okay.
All right. Okay.
We're two up to you.
Yeah, you are.
We
too.
might disagree
Yeah.
on the next one. Falling asleep on the sofa. This is if you sort of share a bed with someone. Falling asleep on the sofa, say till 3-4 a.m. and then coming back up, but knowing you're falling asleep. I think
Again,
that's straight up wrong.
What's wrong with that?
Because you know you're falling asleep. You know when it's like, right, it gets to 11. Why don't we go to bed? No, I'm up. And it's like, you're snoring, you're going, you're already falling asleep. People that then stay, fall asleep at 3 a.m., then wake up on the sofa, bad back, you're going to complain. And then you come up and then you wake someone else up.
I think if you're waking someone else up, it's a very minor disruption. That's the first thing I'll say. But in terms of like what's wrong, it's not really that like offensive. Do you know what I mean? If you just doze off on the sofa.
It does annoy me because my dad does it, and like, I'll be in the other room, I'll be watching my favorite show, and I'll just hear him snoring, and it's like,
That's jarring.
I'm trying to watch my show. Can you just go to bed? And I'll be like, no, I'm fine. Leave me. I think a lot of dads do that. I think that's
Yeah.
just a dad thing. But I think it's like, surely you just be better off going up and getting into your bed. But
then there is
Then
the
again,
issue of,
they're so comfy.
yeah,
like, they
when
don't
you're
wanna
that
move.
comfy,
You don't wanna move.
sometimes you don't want to move, but also you can be falling asleep on the sofa. When you then get up to bed, you can't fall asleep. I feel like that's happened to me
That
so
happens to
many
me
times.
sometimes.
Mate, similar but not the same. But in first year, my housemate had a girlfriend, and she just lived on our sofa, like sleeping. She was just always asleep on our sofa, and it actually did rattle me quite a lot, like
Yeah.
a significant amount. Because it'd be like, I'm not saying like I'd come out for water in the middle of the night, in which case like fair dues if she's there. She'd be like middle of the day on a Wednesday. What are you doing there?
Yeah.
What are you doing? And I'm just trying to make some lunch.
Yeah.
Just start kicking off.
You should just like make so much noise on purpose. Like,
Just start dropping pots and pans.
Yeah.
Whoops. No, I think I was pretty noisy, and she just like genuinely just didn't flinch.
Set for it all.
She was probably made of harder stuff than I, to be fair though. So
Yeah.
I'm not desperately surprised.
So what are we going with?
Right. Happens.
okay.
What
Oh,
are you-
wait, what are you going with?
I'm going with wrong.
He just wants to be right.
So
he
he's
wants
gonna
to
come
win.
and join
he
me.
just
No,
wants
no,
to
So he
win.
can win.
That's
No,
not
I was like-
getting
Okay.
worse
No.
at all. That is completely unfair.
I was actually gonna say it's not right, but it's okay. So we
Okay,
all disagree.
we're
Draw,
on a split.
draw.
We're on a draw. Okay.
I just see.
Oh, damn right. Yeah.
Right, the last one then. Waking someone else up because you can't sleep.
That's completely unacceptable. That is so selfish.
I agree. I think that is selfish.
I think maybe with a bit of
Let me guess
context,
where this is going.
potentially, if you've had like, we're saying this person has nothing on the next day, you're really up, like you can't sleep, and you think actually a little bit of a conversation with them would help you sleep, potentially.
That's just like
Potentially you
ruining
could-
their sleep for your own
It
gain.
probably
I think that's
is.
selfish.
If there's an absolute emergency, I understand it. But how often is it an actual emergency? And
A
I mean an
nightmare.
actual
Hold on.
emergency. A nightmare is not an emergency.
Someone, like, woke me
Tummy
up.
ache, not an emergency.
Someone woke me up to just have a general chit chat. I'm crashing out. Like, if I'm in deep sleep,
Start tweaking
that
on
is
the
a
side of the
crash out.
bed.
Waiting
I'm not
to
going
happen.
back to sleep at hours.
If it's something genuine, I get it. Do I get it? No, I don't get it. Because just let me sleep. Sort it out. I'm
Get
sure you
out
can
of
figure
my
it out
face.
yourself.
Yeah, if somebody did that to me, that would
Okay,
be like,
house on fire, whatever. Something.
up, okay.
Yeah, cool. Wake me up. Thank you.
I
But
appreciate that, man.
yeah, appreciate that. But other than that, please just leave me.
I think maybe it's because I potentially do this that I'm thinking that
You're
it's
normalising
okay.
it to yourself. You've
I'm
got too
trying to
many yes
normalise
people.
it
You've
and
got
make
too many
it
yes people
okay.
around you. That's the problem. Now you're talking to a pair of straight talkers.
Yeah.
You're realising
Yeah.
this is actually not acceptable. We're
Yeah.
doing Teddy a huge favour here.
Yeah, he's gonna thank you. But I just think like if I really can't sleep. Also, it's not like you're completely awake. I'm shaking you. You know when someone does a roll over and you're like, hello, and they respond. You're like, right.
Right, no,
I'm
no,
trying to-
you've still woken them
I'm
up.
trying to think of a time where I've done this, but I can't.
Yeah, because you're not a
There's no
villain,
time.
mate. You're not a villain.
But I'm trying to think if it's happened to me as well. Like,
Not a proper wake up. I'm not saying I'm shaking. I'm saying like if they're slightly awake.
You know what this is giving? It's giving when you like throw up in your room when you're like 6 and you have to go get mum to clean it up. That's what this
Yeah.
is giving right now.
or when you like wet the bed or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
But a
age of
nightmare as
15.
well.
Yeah.
What happens if you have a really bad nightmare
night.
and you just need someone?
Started weeing in the wardrobe and the
Oh,
wash bag as well.
Rahul, this
Couldn't
is going
stop
to come
me.
back and bite you. Rahul's going to be weeing in a wardrobe.
No,
after he's hated.
if I do, you'll never hear about it.
No, if you
So,
do, I'll be there, mate. Just make sure you know
Support
that.
you.
I'll be there no matter
We'll be
what.
co-sleeping, remember?
Yeah,
Right, so are we going against me with this one?
That is obviously wrong.
wrong.
I think it's not
Make
right,
a
but
new
it's okay.
make a new concept completely undeniably unacceptable.
I think it's not right, but it's okay. Personally.
Fair enough.
I actually have one more scenario,
Okay.
Oh
and
no.
it's perfect because
I'm
Henry's here.
afraid.
Oh no.
Oh no.
I'm getting exposed. I know what this
Perfect
is.
because Henry's here.
Special one for you.
Sleeping in a wet t-shirt.
Oh.
Oh, mate, that is the goated way to regulate temperatures. You
Can
just
we
don't.
have a bit of an
No,
explanation?
I just
No, there's
don't.
no. All right, okay. So last year I lived in Madrid, and as you know, Madrid is significantly hotter than Sheffield.
Yes.
Yeah.
It got up to very regularly 35 degrees. There was no aircon in my apartment because it was not a nice apartment, and it was genuinely baking at any given point because it was sun facing as well in the afternoon. So they had this big window, and it just shot into my room.
Why don't you close your curtains so it doesn't heat
Didn't
up?
have curtains. We had these metal shutters which are blackout but don't stop the heat because they absorb heat themselves and bring it into
Okay.
the room. So what you do is you run your shirt under the tap, and it just completely lowers your body temperature. It's fantastic. I would compare it though to a sleep mask situation. You know the first few nights where you wear a sleep mask and it just feels awful. You
Yeah.
can't. It's so itchy. You can't It's exactly the same. But as soon as you're used to it, it's a complete game changer because I feel amazing. I love it.
How did you come to this? Like, who told you about this? Was it a friend or did you just
Is your bed
experiment on
like-
your own?
The mumsy told me.
Oh.
Laura hooked me up with this chat. I think it was on like a newspaper article, and she sent it to me. And honestly, I think it started with the news suggested like having a wet towel basically underneath you.
I could get a wet towel because when you're really, you've got a really bad temperature. My
Yeah.
mum would always put a wet towel on my forehead.
Yeah. So it's similar concept to that.
I'd never
But I
liked
just cut
that.
out the
I
middleman.
like that.
I just cut out the middleman.
And just went straight. Yeah.
But the thing is, though, we've been talking about this now, Raoul, for the best part of a month.
I
And
know.
We've had some pretty hot days,
We
actually.
have.
And there's been plenty of an opportunity for you to try it. And alas, you have not, and you have still continued to knock it.
So
Okay.
don't knock it till you try
Okay.
it.
Is that what?
Okay.
But, okay.
For all the Doze
Here's
listeners,
why-
the many, many, many Doze
Yeah.
listeners, get on it. Trust.
Summer is coming up.
Genuinely trust
If you're
me.
lying there, tossing and turning, cannot think what to do, the fan is not working, just think Henry from Doze.
Okay. Can I picture now?
Okay.
Let me talk. Yeah. Say if you have a wet t-shirt, soggy wet t-shirt, right? Isn't your sheets just gonna get wet and soggy as well?
You know your body produces heat, and you know what happens to wet sheets when they get hot? They dry
Yeah,
eventually.
but it's like just that feeling, just
Yeah.
having a
I
wet
feel like I'd
t-shirt.
feel
It's just like,
sweaty.
No,
or
it's
like
good.
I'd wet the bed.
It's not the same thing.
Yeah, you
One
would
thing I
feel-
have learnt though is it works better with quite thin, normal cotton t-shirts. Because I've done it with a football shirt before, and that does feel a bit slimy.
Oh. Don't
But-
do that.
No, yeah, the little £3 Primark white t-shirts. I normally just grab loads of them because I work in them over the summer when I'm a gardener. Because it doesn't matter if I scratch them up or I get blood on them or whatever.
We're
But
getting
no-
Henry's life story.
Yeah, you just got I'm entrenching myself in the Doze podcast right now. It might be a TMI situation, but alas. Anyway, so those work perfectly.
Okay.
So if you want the optimal, I'm looking at the camera for this.
This is
optimal
not an ad.
sleeping
This is not an
strategy,
ad.
Thin white t-shirt, run under the tap, cold as it comes, and just
Perfect. Well, next
tweaking.
time before we come, Rahul is going to try it.
Oh, okay,
That is our
you know
promise
what? You know
to
what?
you.
I've just spotted
That
your
will-
t-shirt, mate. Is that a thin white
There's a shade.
t-shirt?
This is in my t-shirt.
Is
I will
that a
try
thin
it.
white t-shirt?
I will try it. I will try it.
That is our promise to you. With all this information, we hope you get a very good night's sleep tonight. And
Yeah.
thank you so much for listening.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
very
you
much.
and goodbye.
Take care. Bye.
Good night. Sleep well.